everybody, it's Drybear. Kingdom Come Deliverance II is finally out, but a lot of people in my chat have been mentioning how they haven't even played the first game and were wondering what it's all about. So today I wanted to give you a little bit of a primer going into Kingdom Come Deliverance II, if you wanted to skip the first game for a story recap, and generally just understand what makes Kingdom Come Deliverance so special. Now, I know people don't usually like comparisons in general, but the way I like to talk about KCD or Kingdom Come Deliverance is that it's more like a mix between like the vibes of Witcher 1 and the chaos of Oblivion. So if you like those kind of open-ended RPGs where you can kind of do whatever you want, whenever you want, with a good atmosphere and good story, then Kingdom Come Deliverance is exactly what you're looking for. You're able to do a ton of stuff in the game, from exploring the world, talking to characters. You can be a thief, you can be a judge, you can be a detective, you can steal your way through the story, you can be an upstanding citizen, you can read books and become literate, which changes the story, you can craft potions that do all kinds of things, but it is a realistic environment, which does mean that there's no superpowers. You're not going to be jumping around getting a ton of different spells and teleporting and stuff. It is very realistic, and it does have some realistic combat as well, very much like old school or even theatrical style fighting, where you raise up, you go low, you go to the side, and you fight between them. But it does have this really very immersive story world that has that open-ended feel of RPG exploration that we usually don't get a whole lot of nowadays. It's almost like you get this recreation of the old school, like I said, Morrowind or Oblivion or Witcher 1, the old school RPGs where anything goes and you get to do whatever you want. Now, it is kind of a stat sheet RPG, and what I mean by that is that there's going to be a ton of different stats that you can get, strength, agility, that sort of thing. A lot of these will impact how you play the game, how fast you move. When you get tired, you do have to sleep and eat, and you have to, keep yourself alive. There's rules to follow. If you break those rules, you could end up in jail, and you have this kind of exploration aspect to the game that really comes together. But you can also set down routes if you like as well. You can very easily, own a horse. You can get a dog. You can train that dog. You can become a hound master. You can hunt for materials and sell those materials. You can discover new towns and settle down and things like that. And yes, there are tons of other mechanics as well, like lockpicking, stealth killing, taking people out from behind. There's also combat, like I mentioned before, that's very much like this trade combat style, where you have above, to the side, below, and you can use things like maces, swords, and be able to trade blows that way. You can have armor, which will give you mitigation. And there's also just tons of different things that you can do with your character that allow you to express your freedom as a player. And I think that this kind of atmosphere is exactly what people need out of RPG games in general. I know some people want fantasy, they want magic, they want crazy powers, or they want something in third person. Not everyone's a fan of first person RPGs, but I would recommend you to try out this game if you haven't, because the overall experience is just so incredibly rich. Next, let's talk about the overall story. I'm going to try my best to recap you for the first game going into the second game, but also leave room for you to explore the first game if that's what you want to do, because there are a lot of really cool side quests that you'll run into, stories about life in the Holy Roman Empire, medieval times, dealing with, if you're an executioner, you become a pariah, and you get outlawed to the edge of town and no one wants to talk to you, and all the different things that go along with it. There's romance, there's technical skills and professions that you can pick up, and all of that comes together with Kingdom Come Deliverance. But the general story that you need to know about KCD 1 before going into KCD 2 is that you are the main character, Henry. And what happens at the very beginning of Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 is Henry is living his best life with his family, his father and his mother, hanging out in his town until he wakes up one day, and then all of a sudden there is a giant army at his back, which, needless to say, is not a good thing. So he just gets attacked by this huge army out of nowhere, and his entire village gets wiped out. Everyone he knows and loves gets completely demolished. His father and his mother gets killed, and they want him to take his sword to a nobleman, someone that they know, and also just escape the town and live on. The same thing that any, child-loving parent would do, is to get them out of town, get them safe, and get them to carry on their legacy while they stay and protect. And this ends up putting him in some hot water with others as well, because if he's the only one that survives this encounter, this invasion, he gets branded as a coward. Everyone that meets him says he's the guy that ran away from this huge battle, and which obviously was never going to be a battle they could win. They were unarmed, unprepared, attacked out of nowhere by a fully armored, mounted army that just came through and slaughtered the entire town. As he's leaving, he sees a bald man that he memorizes his face and swears to get revenge on him as he moves throughout the story. So this becomes like the very beginning where you see this antagonist appear, and, you know, obviously you see him and his army destroy everything he's ever loved, and he gets to look the guy in the eye and to say, okay, I'm going to eventually one day take revenge on this guy who took everything from me. Now, as he's escaping the town, he gets taken in and gets put on guard duty. He basically just gets taken in as a fleer, and there's this guy, Radzig, that takes him in and, you know, puts him under his wing and says, okay, we'll take care of you. You've lost everything. We'll handle it from here, even though the townspeople see him as a coward who fled from the battle. And this guy Radzig is kind of like being really nice to Henry, taking care of him, putting him on the right path, making sure that he's protected as you know, as you would expect, and really just trying to turn him around from this horrible tragedy that has befallen him. And most of the game is you going through this story and exploring the world of peasants and noblemen, finding people that you'd run into and making new friends, old friends, solving crimes like you would in The Witcher, trying to figure out who's at fault, and really kind of warming up to these people that you see on screen, and just kind of getting to know them as you go throughout the story before things start to develop further. And again, I'm going to leave this one kind of open-ended in the middle of the game, because there's a lot to explore in Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, things that I think you should kind of experience for yourself. And like I said, I keep, you know, hearkening it back to Witcher, but it does kind of feel like that. There are a lot of really great side quests that you can stumble upon that have awesome storylines that you'll experience, that you'll learn more about the world, learn more about the characters in the story, and learn more about your character Henry as well in the process, that I think is a big part of the discovery for Kingdom Come Deliverance 1. You also befriend this guy named Lord Capon, who is a young guy who thinks he should be Lord already, you know, typical young man that wants to be in charge of everything. You end up fighting him constantly. When you first learn how to sword fight and how to shoot a bow, he's constantly laughing at you, saying you're a peasant, you couldn't possibly beat him, though you get the opportunity to beat him and take his bow off him as well, and you have a very tough time getting along with him. But eventually, Sir Hanush forces you to go on a hunting trip with him, in which you bond with him, and he does, you know, come back in the second game as well as a friend. So you actually get to know Lord Capon pretty well, and he becomes one of your closest allies. Now, to pause here and let you know that it is time for a spoiler warning. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you everything you need to know about Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 going into Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So if you wanted to stop here and play through KCD 1, this is a good time to do it, because I'm going to give you all of the reveals that happen throughout the storyline so that you're better prepared for the second game. So on that hunting trip you're supposed to go on with Capon, he is captured, and you have to rescue him. And this is part of the process of you bonding with him and getting over your differences so you can connect together. But this is when things start to speed up a little bit, because you start to realize that something else is going on. There are tons of issues going on. Capon gets attacked. There are villages being raided. Your village got wiped out by an army. And then things take a turn when a local stable gets completely slaughtered by unknown people that came by and killed everyone. You go to check out the devastation, but you also have the inkling that this is related to your village getting wiped out as well. So you ask the lords for permission to investigate this yourself, because you have a feeling that it's related to what happened to you and you want to get to the bottom of it. And as you're chasing someone that knows everything, you end up finding the person that's supposed to have all the answers bound to a wall and pinned up with a message over him, that is kind of strange, because bandits generally they're not literate in most cases, so being able to write on the wall is kind of odd. As you get closer and closer to the truth by chasing these weird bandits, you track them down and eliminate them, only to realize that they have been very heavily paid, which alludes itself to some very tricky business. Someone in a very high place is trying to wipe out different areas, and this was not very unusual at the time, right? Obviously, people are playing for power all the time. You don't know how your village and that stable is involved, but Henry is dedicated to getting to the bottom of it, but also getting revenge for his family. Now, in your investigation, you finally get caught and cornered, thinking you're walking into a group of friends saying, hey, wait a minute, I recognize you. What are you doing here? You get blown in the back of the head and you get knocked out and tortured. And this is where you find out that your father and mother are not actually your father and mother. Your real father is actually that guy Radzik, who has been taking care of you and put you under his wing. He just hid it from you for the time being. And now you're bound to this story. You are standing side by side with your real father, trying to connect, but also trying to figure out what's happening in the land and trying to set things right as you decide how you're going to walk your path through the story. Now, the first game has a pretty cool wrap-up that I'm not going to spoil here because I don't think it's super important for the second game, but just note that all of the people that you had run into in the first game, Sir Hanush, Radzig, Canon, or Capon, all of those people are now part of your family, your new group, and you're definitely part of this world of trying to understand what's going on. And we're going into Kingdom Come Deliverance II to figure out who's behind all of these murders, who's trying to destroy the world, and also just riding in an open war against other groups and empires. And that's kind of the progression of Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 into Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, hopefully giving you the right setup for the story, the overall vibe for the game, and also leaving enough room for if you wanted to go back and play Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, which you certainly should. There's high replay value with the amount of stats and perks and different things that can happen in the story, so I recommend playing it if you'd like to, but also if you just want to jump into KCD 2, I totally understand that as well. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.